verbal or life.
Okay.
Um,
For some reason, my internet is in super slow motion, but I wanted to talk about Trump putting Iran on a deadline. What are they going to do? Are they going to surrender or what? Also, it's DEI Thursday, so let's check out Jesse Water's prime time, see what he got cooking up. And the Democrats are going bankrupt. Definitely want to find out more about that. Like, how are they going to fund now their efforts for the 2026 election and 2028 presidential elections if they're going bankrupt? Everybody's switching up to the Republican Party. But let's keep it real. My name is Noel. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Give it a thumbs up and let's go forward anyway. Even though my internet is bad, let's go and show the video clip. Let's take a look.
Fox News alert, President Trump making it very clear that if America has to get involved in Iran, it'll end on our terms. And it looks like he's preparing for any scenario. The E-4B Doomsday plane just made an unexpected flight to D.C. The $500 million aircraft was designed to withstand nuclear blasts and keep top government officials safe when threats are off the charts. And it landed at Joint Base Andrews under the cover of night on Tuesday. Right now, the United States has two destroyers anchored in the Mediterranean, the USS Sullivans and the
Right now, they look like we are about to go to war. Like the United States of America is going up against Iran. You know, this sucks. I think like Israel did all of this to get us to go to war. Because at the end of the day, what is Iran going to do? Probably trying to attack us. Because look at this. Look at all the weapons that they're sending over there.
USS Thomas Hudner. Both of these $100 million platforms have been shooting down Iranian missiles. To the south is a carrier strike group, the USS Carl Vinson in the Arabian Sea just off the coast of Iran, flanked by 4 warships providing security to U.S. bases in the region, and a super carrier, the USS Gerald Ford. It's on its way and should be on the scene soon. Dozens of F-16s have been repositioned from Italy to the Saudi Arabia.
Again, it's supposed to be Israel versus Iran. But yet we are sending everything, like all the powers. So what, if they don't come through with the deadlines, now everybody got to go to war? I mean, come on now.
Arabia base. And F-22s and F-35s are on their way. Now, if we're going to drop bunker busters on the Iranian nuke site, it'll be done by B-2 stealth bombers. These aren't officially in the region, but sources tell primetime they've seen tactical movement in the last 24 hours. This is a major moment for Trump, and he's aware that his legacy is on the line. Quote, he is in his last term of his presidency. He may or may not see a window to do something that is something he's always believed is right and is important for the world, and has the added benefit of being legacy building. And this is a window. It's never existed before. It will likely never exist again insofar as he can do anything about it. So while he has that window, he's going to take a shot, even if it is not something that everybody agrees with. Now, the president says he hasn't made up his mind, and he's keeping his options open, and we believe that. Iran's foreign minister is flying to Switzerland for talks with the Europeans tomorrow. 47's offering them one last chance.
Regarding the ongoing situation in Iran, I know there has been a lot of speculation amongst all of you in the media regarding the president's decision-making and whether or not the United States will be directly involved. In light of that news, I have a message directly from the president, and I quote, based on the fact that there's a substantial chance of negotiations that may or may not take place with Iran in the near future, I will make my decision whether or not to go within the next 2 weeks.
This could be Trump giving the Ayatollah a final olive branch, or it could be a pump fake, and we could go in tomorrow. And 2 weeks from today is July 4th. Maybe Trump's planning for fireworks halfway around the world. We don't know. The CIA director told lawmakers Iran's locked and loaded, and their nuke program's at the goal line. Quote, it's like saying a football team marched 99 yards down the field, got to the 1 yard line, and oh, they don't have the intention to score. Now, the CIA told us things before the Iraq War that turned out not to be true. The difference is this time, the inspectors have seen the program. We've all seen the program, and the Israelis see everything. There's no question the Iran nuclear program is alive and active. The only question is how long it'll take them to nuke up when they get.
They always talk about nuclear bombs and why is it so important that we go fight them. But what about in the end, after we go in and destroy Iran? They're going to say, oh, we were wrong. We made a mistake. Oops. Man, crazy.
The go-ahead. Now, Iran is the world's lead sponsor of terror. And with a nuclear weapon, it could hold the world hostage. Not to mention, they control the shipping lanes where a third of the world's oil goes through. If President Trump does decide to drop bunker busters on their nuke site, we're not going to sit back and let the Iranians retaliate. So there has to be a massive air campaign that goes along with this. We'd have to knock out Iran's ballistic missile stockpiles and any offensive capability. So we're not sitting ducks. There's probably a rich target list that Trump would have to approve. The Guardian reported Trump was getting cold feet, worried about the effectiveness of bunker busters and not willing to use tactical nukes. But the White House tells Fox that's not true. Everything's on the table, even tactical nukes. The big question is if the United States does target Iran, what happens next? The White House isn't considering boots on the ground. Iran's 3 times the size of Texas and surrounded by mountains.
Invading Iran by land? Almost impossible. And here's why. To the west, the Zagros Mountains, a rocky wall with narrow passes, easy to defend, hard to attack. To the north, the Elburz Mountains, rising like a shield beside the Caspian Sea. To the east, more rugged mountains near Afghanistan and Pakistan. Still no easy entry. And in the middle, 2 deadly deserts, Dashti Kavir and Dashti Lut. Scorching heat, salt flats, sand that swallows tanks, mountains, deserts, bottlenecks. Iran is a natural fortress, and that's why invading Iran by land is a military nightmare.
That's crazy. I want to see America able to do all of this. That means you're going to have to send in a bunch of planes because otherwise there's no getting through those mountains. That's insane. I never knew it was that crazy.
Iran's different than Iraq because you wouldn't have legions of foreign fighters pouring into the country to target Americans. Well, because there won't be any Americans there, and 2, good luck getting in. The war is escalating quickly. Last night, an Iranian missile struck an Israeli hospital. Israel's calling it a war crime, and its defense minister says the Ayatollah can no longer continue to exist. Israel just destroyed a nuclear reactor, which was producing plutonium, and no one's coming to the Ayatollah's side. Hezbollah hasn't fired a single missile since the start of the campaign. The Shiites haven't targeted American military bases in Iraq, and the Houthis in Yemen have been quiet. The Ayatollah is all alone, hiding in a bunker. His nuclear scientists and generals all assassinated. He's 86 years old. He's ruled Iran with an iron fist for over 3 decades. The man's a proud, stubborn, religious revolutionary. Something tells me he's going to go down fighting. Now, if the United States neutralizes his nukes and his missiles, is he still able to wield power? The Iranian economy is a disaster.
Is he going to try to attack the United States when we're not looking? Start sending bombs over here? Can he even come across the ocean to try to attack? Like, what skills do they have?
He can't protect his people. He's mistreated them for years. So the streets will start to teeter. It's possible he hangs on, but a coup is likely. Or does Trump greenlight Israel to take him out?
If the Ayatollah stays in command, he will retaliate, and
Israel will kill him.
Activate sleeper cells.
Israel's going to kill him.
Now, we don't know that, but we have to use a light touch. This is delicate. We don't have a problem with the Iranian people. We have a problem with the regime. An unarmed Iran that's not an arch enemy of the United States could lead to the region uniting under American sponsorship and give us major leverage over the Chinese, who import almost all of their oil. The risk is being too ambitious and not grounded in reality. There's also a risk of doing nothing. There's downside to everything. Sleeper cells could activate, cyber attacks, terror attacks, slippery slopes. Donald Trump's deliberately and carefully calibrating each of these scenarios. And we elected him for moments like this. It all comes down to one thing.
Trust in President Trump. President Trump has incredible instincts, and President Trump kept America and the world safe in his first term as president in implementing a peace through strength foreign policy agenda. And with respect to Iran, nobody should be surprised by the president's position that Iran absolutely cannot obtain a nuclear weapon. He's been unequivocally clear about this for decades, not just as president, not just as a presidential candidate, but also as a private citizen.
Joining me now, former Deputy Undersecretary of Foreign Affairs, General John Tykert, and Foundation for Defense.
You know, Trump is going to go down as one of the presidents in history who's able to put fear in other presidents. So like that, they'll stop and not try to nuke America.
Defense of Democracy's President Clifford May. All right. General, if the United States does strike this underground nuclear facility, wouldn't you imagine there's also a pretty significant bombing campaign to eliminate the rest of the offensive capabilities that the Iranian military possesses?
Jesse, you're right. There's two major target areas right now for the United States and Israel to consider. And that is Iran's nuclear program. And that is that still fairly large but dwindling ballistic missile fleet that Iran still contains that could be targeted anywhere in the Middle East and beyond. And anything that the president decides to do needs to weigh the factors about the timeliness of activity, the necessity of activity, will it work, and what are the downsides? But we are well postured to be able to execute whatever the president decides, especially against those two target areas.
All right, and Cliff, if those are struck, the ballistic missiles and the underground nuclear bunker, what does the Ayatollah do? Does he stay in power at that point?
He may for a while at that point, yes, but he'll be defanged, he'll be declawed. It doesn't really matter. Could there be a revolution against him? Could it be a coup? Absolutely. Could it come from the IRGC? Yes, but those are not Jeffersonian Democrats. That's the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. We don't know exactly what would happen from an America First point of view or an Israel First point of view. If this guy doesn't have nuclear weapons, he's not a threat to Israel, to America, to the Saudis, to the Emiratis, or anybody else. There's concern about what happens next. We will watch. We can help the good guys. I suggest we should. But it's really, at that point, it's not a big problem.
Okay. So, General, let's say these strikes are effective and this Ayatollah is defanged and the Iranian army moves on him and takes him out. So now we have an Iran that's led by the Iranian military. What does that look like then?
Jesse,
That's going to be crazy. Like, hopefully those are strong men that are just going to bring more peace.
any sort of regime change is fraught with uncertainty, but it is important to realize that with Israeli air superiority, which means they can strike targets at will, and once those ballistic missiles are depleted and the Iranian nuclear program is eliminated, then whatever happens internally in Iran, while important significantly in the long term, isn't a threat to the region or isn't a threat to the rest of humanity.
Got it. And Cliff, if these negotiations are fruitful, I mean, I don't have high expectations, but if they are, I mean, do you see a scenario where the Iranians say, all right, let the inspectors in, we'll just detonate everything we have and we're done?
It's unlikely, but it's not impossible. Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, he's been in power since 1989. He's 86 years old. I think he's a true believer. I think he'd rather die as a martyr. But you can look at what happened at the end of the Iraq-Iran war, when the first supreme leader drank from the poisoned chalice. What did that mean? It would mean that, look, he would think to himself and rationalize, to keep in power, to keep the revolutionary theocratic regime in power, I will agree to give up all my weapons of mass destruction, all my nuclear facilities. I'll dismantle them. No, everything will be done the way the president asked. And then this revolutionary regime at some point will, excuse the expression, Jesse, build back better.
Or he could just get Gaddafi And what they did to that guy in the streets of Libya was just horrific. What kind of message, General, does it send to the world if Donald Trump sets a deadline, delivers?
It's like Trump saying, if I speak to you, make it only once. That's it. You heard what I said. Everybody's going to be scared of Trump if this works. Any threats that he makes, they know that he goes through with them.
On that deadline and these nuclear sites are terminated.
Jesse, the world is watching right now what is going on in Iran, both because of Israeli activities and the support from the United States. And whether it's Putin or Xi or Kim Jong-un, they're trying to determine whether the United States has both strength of capability and will. And if we do, then that provides a huge deterrent factor. And if we do not, then it causes them or entices them to consider malign activities around the world.
Yeah, they're going to be more brave to do whatever they want. They're going to say that Trump just does a lot of barking and no bite. He doesn't do or carry through with what he says. So it's a big test here.
And Cliff, in terms of the trade negotiations that are going on with pretty much every single country except Great Britain, are they looking at this too the same way?
Look, I think everybody is looking, and if what they see is that we have a president who doesn't bluff, we have a president who is as good as his word. This president has been saying since his last administration, I'm not going to let this regime, which has been chanting death to America and death to Israel since 1979, I'm not going to let them have the means to achieve that goal. I'm going to get rid of it. When people know that the president means what he says and says what he means, that is very important. Just to add to what the general said, because it's a very important point, there is an act.
He got no choice, man. He got to come through and put fear in everybody. The man spoke.
Axis among Tehran, Moscow, Beijing, and Pyongyang, North Korea. This weakens it. You don't want all four of those nations, all of them which are anti-American, all of which are working together, all of them to be nuclear powered and be able to, in concert, threaten America. That would be a very bad thing. So this is a very important moment, as you very well articulated.
All right. 2 weeks. History's going to be made. Gentlemen, thank you so much. Great analysis. So Portland looks like Iran right now. Plus, do people even know what's happening in the Middle East?
Should we just let Israel handle this themselves?
We got the Iron Dome. No worries. I have friends who are there right now. They're loving it. They're hanging out on the beach.
Caitlyn Jenner's in a bunker.
Caitlyn Jenner's there.
All right, let me pause the commercials. I cannot play here on YouTube. But yes, this is the ultimate test. You see Trump being all tough and telling people what to do. Let's see if he carries through. Does he really put fear on other countries? Once he does this and dismantles Iran and goes through with all his promises, it's going to be staple that the man is no joke. So watch what you say, because he will send the army, the strongest army in the world. But hey, if you're still watching this video, make sure you give it a like. My name is Noel. Here trying to stream a little bit of Jesse Waters Prime Time. Hopefully you enjoyed. My internet is a little off, but I'm trying my best here. But yeah, once we get Trump to pull this off, it's going to be ultimate fighter. Everybody's going to be fear of Trump. All right. I'm fast forwarding past the commercials because I cannot play it. But what else? So that Iran threats, man, because Trump does a lot of threats, you know, and he does a lot of barking. Now let's see if he can carry through and actually say what he means or act the way he means or what he says. Am I making any sense? All right, here we go. Let's see what else is on here. Let me try to fix this.
Well, first of all, there's a right way and wrong way to hire workers. There are legal programs that bring farm workers in. Worksite enforcement operations is an important part of the work we do. Again, where do we find most victims of trafficking? Worksite. Joe Biden stopped worksite. They said they cared about sex trafficking and forced labor trafficking. Then they stopped worksite enforcement.
Looks like there's going to be some job openings on the black market too.
Act Acting U.S. Attorney for the Northern District of Texas, Nancy Larson, talking about the 76 individuals arrested in the 60-day joint undercover crackdown, given the name Operation Showdown. 287 firearms were seized, many equipped with illegal machine gun conversion devices. Also recovered 22 kilograms of drugs, including heroin, cocaine, methamphetamine, and fentanyl.
The amount of fentanyl seized in this investigation was enough for 240,000 deadly doses.
Oh, well, the Antifa icebreakers aren't happy, but let's be honest, they don't even really need a reason to riot. It's just Wednesday in Portland.
Officers come around.
A major American city is in a firefight. No one's talking about it. Not only won't Schumer condemn it, Schumer wants to pay people like this. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer is seeking taxpayer funds for a left-wing group facing a congressional investigation for advising illegal aliens how to evade federal immigration agents. The New York Democrat requested $600,000, 600 grand to tell the illegals how to run away from ICE. So the taxpayers are paying people who catch them and people who help them escape. Democrats are lashing out because they didn't get their way in November. Just because Trump's using his legal authority doesn't make Trump an authoritarian, unless you're CNN.
How are the Democrats going to come back after this, man? They don't really have a message. They don't know how to reach people. All they do is try to paint Trump as evil. But that's it. He won. Get on camera and talk about what great things you're going to do for the people. How about that?
This is not the first place authoritarian regimes have taken over. And when you look at what has happened in other countries where that has happened, they use certain issues to actually try. Immigration is one. Trans issues is another one. And what has this administration really focused on? Immigration, trans issues. That is what authoritarian looks like.
This is all a performance. Every liberal is trying to out-liberal the other.
They got to stop it. What the hell are they talking about? Authoritarianism. I can't even say that word. They just going out there trying to sound smart. Come off as very dumb.
Actor Billy Porter says America is Nazi Germany. It's not going to be Nazi Germany. It's not becoming Nazi Germany. It's not fear of becoming Nazi Germany. It is Nazi Germany right now. And the Jews are black people. Chicago.
What kind of stupid message is that? I can't believe he even said that. Insane.
Mayor says Billy's right. This is black genocide.
Much like we fought for civil rights 60 years ago, we're going to continue to make sure that whether you are black, brown, Asian, white, young, old, working people deserve to be prioritized. He's working to eliminate black history. He is trying to eliminate black existence from this country, but he's also attacking the LGBTQ+.
I wouldn't say he's trying to eliminate black existence.
Way to push back, CNN. This type of energy is very negative, especially on Juneteenth. Jasmine, not to be confused with Davy Crockett, says if you voted for Trump, you're sick in the head.
You know, we've got a mental health crisis in this country because everyone, no matter how you affiliate yourself, should be against Trump, period. I just want the American people to wake up.
The White House wants Jasmine.
She should run for president because she is so dumb. She has zero chance of winning. So yeah, run for president and they're going to play that video clip on high loop, you calling everybody dumb. So come on, get her in there. Get her to run.
Easy to keep talking.
She is a rising star. It's quite something to behold, actually. I hope that she continues to be a rising star for the Republican Party, at least. I think it's incredibly derogatory to accuse nearly 80 million Americans of mental illness. The last time I checked, Jasmine Crockett couldn't dream of winning such a majority of the public as President Trump did. And the America First movement, which President Trump has built, is filled of hardworking patriots. Jasmine Crockett should go to a Trump rally sometime and she can see it for herself.
But there's someone who doesn't like to see rising stars in the party. This person wants all eyes on them.
I can't just be picked up on the street and hauled off to another country. What I believe it continues to be that there has to be responses and pushback from civil society, from various institutions and individuals outside of government, but there also has to be people in government in both parties who say, well, no, you can't do that. You can't do that.
Barack spent a lot of time complaining about Trump.
Those in power, those with money, exploit that space in which nobody knows what's true. One of our major political parties, you have a whole bunch of people who know that's not true, but we will pretend like it is. We want diversity of opinion. We don't want diversity of facts.
Barack Obama, the slow speaker, making sure you completely understand what he's saying, even when he's saying nothing. Like, what the hell did he just say?
Does anybody know what he's talking about? No one knows. He hasn't been the same since Michelle's podcast. First the coup, then his wife starts dragging him, sitting there cross-legged in Connecticut out of gas. Liberals agree with me. They think Obama's too kumbaya. MSNBC wants him to go harder.
I would give a little bit of a word of advice to President Obama and say, listen, 2012 called and wants their campaign tactics back. This is not a time for platitudes and personal musings, veiled critiques. You have Democrats being arrested, being indicted, being detained, politically assassinated. In a week, there are tanks rolling down the streets of our cities. We can't sit here and be polite anymore. You can be peaceful, but the righteous anger of the American people needs to be harnessed in a way for people to understand what's at stake.
Democrats want to know where the Messiah went, but it's not 2008 anymore. It's the golden age. If Barack wants to get back in the ring, he needs to step out of the faculty lounge and get real.
I'd like to hear President Obama making those points with Joe Rogan and Theo Von and and bro pods, not with academics on panels. I just think that he has a higher and better purpose in this moment.
Outkick.com founder Clay Travis. So Clay, they want Barack Obama to get arrested by ICE and chuck Molotov cocktails at him.
Jesse, here's a question. And I would love to hear Barack Obama answer this. He's a sports fan. He coached his daughters in basketball while he was president of the United States. I think a lot of dads and certainly a lot of moms respect that. I've coached my kids in virtually every sport at some point in time as I've been raising them. Why has Barack Obama never come out, if he cares so much about speaking truth, and said, hey, men who pretend to identify as women should not be able to win women's championships? He doesn't ever have to run for office again. Gavin Newsom came out and tried to say it. If they want Barack Obama to bring some sanity back to the Democrat Party, you have to start by saying things that he 100% believes, but that he's afraid to say. 2008 Obama and 2012 Obama would have never said that men pretending to be women can be champions when he was coaching his little league girls in basketball.
He's scared of his wife. He's the typical I'm scared of my wife kind of guy.
Hey, to be fair, a lot of men watching this program right now are afraid of their wives. So, I'll give him a little bit of a pass.
Yeah, but they're also not married to Michelle Obama. And she can be scary. And he's admitted she's scary.
I do think when you are trying to lecture America on talking and speaking the truth, and you aren't willing to acknowledge blatant lies being spread by your party, you are actually contributing to the arena of misinformation and disinformation. Here's the other thing, Jesse, that I think Obama is starting to grapple with. Donald Trump has replaced him as the most consequential politician of the 21st century.
Yes.
And I don't think he's really come to grips with that yet, Jesse. From the moment that Trump came down that escalator in 2015, all the way through this term, he's going to dominate the first quarter century of this era, of this 100 years. And I think Obama thought he was going to be the star of the 21st century. And instead, Trump is, and I think it bothers him. I think he cares a great deal about his legacy.
Right, and his legacy is in tatters, and now his legacy is getting cleaned up in the Middle East again. All right, Clay Travis, good to see you. Scared of his wife, Clay Travis, a smart man, I guess.
Only some of the time.
I'll talk to you later. Happy Juneteenth, by the way, Clay. Happy DEI Thursday.
At the end of the day, he's 100% right. Barack Obama was going to be the man of this century, but Donald Trump just came in and took him out. All you're going to hear is how bad Barack Obama was, how he didn't do anything for black people. Things just kept getting worse when he left. Put Biden in there to make things even worse now with the whole men pretending to be women and taking over, dominating female sports. That's it. His legacy is destroyed. And now with the peace president, Donald Trump, who's trying to kill all problems across the world and just bring peace everywhere, his legacy is definitely going to be cemented forever. But let me know what you think. If you enjoyed the video so far, give it a thumbs up. My name is Noel here at Verbal on Life, Fisticuffs. Just trying to bring the video to you guys. My camera broke. I don't know why it just stopped working. So this is my computer camera. It is what it is, but that's my own little problem. Here I am battling MS, still alive, still moving forward. And that was great. I got to bring more videos about that. But the fact that Barack Obama is just sinking, the man is going down, Hispanics, blacks, everybody's now supporting Trump. Because what Trump is doing, it looks like common sense, looks like something normal people would do, you know? And why didn't anybody else do it? Why we had to wait for Trump to come in there? And thank God he did. Comment down below. Let me know what you think. With that said, let me get out of here and I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace.